Okay, good afternoon, guys. I'm here for the afternoon session on the muscular system. We'll be covering over some things on the muscular system, so waiting for a few people to check on in. Looks like there's nobody in here at the moment. All right, good afternoon. Looks like I got one person checking in. You want to say hello? Two people checking in. All right, this is the afternoon session on the muscular system. Hopefully, you had a chance to watch the video that Mr. Candle and I put out. Couple people in here right now. So if you want to say hello. All right, we got a few people. Gus, thank you. Hi, Gus. And I want to say that's Christian. Yes, Christian and Gus. How you guys doing? Hopefully, you guys are having a good day. Any questions you guys have before I begin on the muscular system for today about questions about the project for this week or from the video that you watched? Did you guys watch the video that Mr. Candela and I put out this morning? If you had a chance to watch that, can you say yes or no if you watched it? Okay, Gus says yes. Very good. Thank you, Gus. Thanks for watching it. Any questions that you have may have, Gus, about the video or about what you're doing this week? Okay, no questions for that. Very good. All right, so what you are doing, you're comparing three types of muscle cells, and I'm going to go over this today. And you're making a Venn diagram. Remember, Venn diagrams like a circle, three circles in the middle. The middle circle is how they're the same. Outer circles, two circles, are the differences. You probably learned that in maybe some of your language arts or reading classes, going over comparing and contrasting certain things. Correct? Okay. Christian, do you have any questions so far? Remember, you could type in or write in on your toolbar there. Okay. Any questions that you may have? Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and then you can ask questions anytime during this. All right. So Christian and Gus, you can ask questions while I'm presenting here. So first, I'm going to like to ask you guys is what is the muscular system? What does it mean to you when I say the muscular system? Can you give me your own definition in your own words? What is the muscular system? Pretty vague question, but again, I'm accepting, your type of answer. So there's really not a wrong answer. So what does the muscular system mean to you? You guys want to chat or write that in your space bar there or your chat bar? If you can, what does the muscular system mean to you? Okay, I'll give you about another 30 seconds if you want to put an answer, and if not, I'll go ahead and reveal my answer. But I'd like to see if you can come up with what you think is important about the muscular system, or why is it? What does the muscular system mean to you? Okay, well, the muscular system is a system of complex complex collections of tissues that each have a different purpose. So it's our movement of our muscles in our body. Then these muscles are related to tissues. So they're components of the muscular system of various types of connective tissue. It's a good way to understand how our bodies and move, or physical movement and work. Okay, so basically it's the muscles connected with our tissues and serving the purpose of movement in our bodies. Okay, all right. Next question I have for you guys is what is a function? What is one function of the muscular system? What is a function of the muscular system? You're like, what does it do? Okay. I think I kind of gave you an answer when I explained what is the muscular system. So if you could just kind of carry off of that a little bit. So what does it do? What is a function of the muscular system? What is one function? There's a bunch of different functions I have, but I want you to give me one function that you may have there, or may know about. All right, it helps you move. Very good, Christian. Excellent. All right, it's a system that helps you move. So that's one of the most important things is what they call body movement. Locomotion is another name for it. Okay. It also helps maintain your posture, sitting upright, standing correctly. It helps with your support and posture, along with the skeletal system. It also helps for breathing and respiration. All right, these muscle cells in our bodies need to breathe and they need to respire as well too. So the diaphragm and other areas of the respiration, like when you breathe, it's a muscle underneath there. It's for contractions as well. Okay, so it helps for respiration. All right, communication is another one there too. So it helps for communicating. When you're talking, you're verbally moving. We have hundreds of muscles in our face. Okay, for talking and facial expressions. When you smile, when you frown. Okay, you make faces. That's also part of the communication with it as well too. So communication would be another one there too. It's also functions as constriction of organs and vessels. Okay, like your pupils. All right, and in our intestinal tract. Remember, we learned that word peristalsis is pushing the food through our intestine tract. It kind of pushes it down, even through our esophagus, as is that peristalsis pushing food down through those muscle cells in our esophagus and stomach lining as well too. So it also helps there. And it's also effective for our heartbeat. The muscular system helps function as our heartbeat and production of body heat. It does help us with body heat too, all of our muscle cells. Okay. Any questions so far? All right, and we're going to continue moving on here. Okay. Now, these are some properties of the muscle. All right, I'm going to go over 4 properties of muscles. All right, the first one's called excitability. Excitability is the capacity of a muscle to respond to a stimulus. Okay, so for example, if you watched the video, Mr. Canlo and I were lifting weights and we were moving muscles in the gym. So we're responding to a stimulus. We're tiring those muscles out. Okay, the heavy weight or the light weight, they're getting that muscle excitability. And then another one's called contractibility. This is the ability of the muscle to shorten and generate a pulling force, like contracting, like pulling it towards you, so like a bicep, like a flex there. All right, that is contractibility. Now, another one's called extensibility, and this is where muscles can be stretched back to its original length. Think about like stretching your leg out or your arm all the way out. Okay, that's why we do types of warm ups before you start working out, like stretching, especially if you're in PE class with Coach Smith and Coach Henry. You guys are stretching before you run, doing laps around the school, and so on. Okay. Um, and then the other one is called elasticity. And elasticity is the ability to the muscle to recoil to original resting length after it's stretched. So coming back into that placement there. Okay, any questions so far? All right, we got a question. Yeah, looks like Christian mentions here, without our muscles, we wouldn't be able to move. Yeah, that's a very important thing. Muscles are part of our movement, absolutely, along with the skeletal system. They work very close to one another, okay, with the bones and the muscles and the tendons. They contract, they move, they help us go from place to place. So we need energy for these muscles to move, like eating food and having certain amounts of types of proteins in our food to help build these muscles to make them strong so you're healthy as well too. Okay. All right. So those are the 4 types of properties of muscles: excitability, contractibility, extensibility, and elasticity. Okay. Those are the 4. All right. Now I am going to talk about some types of muscle cells, which are the importance of this assignment, which you're going to be doing, which you saw from the video, and we mentioned from the video as well, are types of muscles. All right. So the first one's called skeletal muscle. Okay, skeletal muscles are attached to bones, and they make up about 40% of body weight. Okay, for your skeletal muscles, and they respond for locomotion. So that's making movement. facial expressions, okay, when you smile or frown, posture, okay, how you sit, like I mentioned that one as well. Respiratory movements, that's like our diaphragm, like I was talking about, goes up and down. It helps with that movement there too, with the skeletal muscle. And these are actions that are called voluntary actions, and they're controlled by what they call somatic motor neurons. Remember, we studied last week neurons and the nervous system as we discovered some things there. So voluntary means that we have to like think to do a lot of these types of things. Movement, facial expressions, and stuff like that. They call them voluntary actions. All right, the ones that we don't put too much energy are called involuntary actions, and those are going to be ones like you don't think those are actually happen, and those are going to be like your heartbeat consistently going, or you're digesting food. And those are things that just happen automatically within our bodies. Okay, any questions so far? All right, continuing on. Okay, so smooth muscles is the next one I'm talking about. So skeletal I covered already. So that's attached to the bone, and those are responsible for locomotion, facial expressions, posture, respiratory movements, and those are more voluntary actions. All right, this next one I'm talking about is called smooth muscles. All right, now smooth are actually in the walls of hollow organs. Okay, so blood vessels, eyes, glands, uterus, skin. That's where they're going to be involved in, or those are in that area. So some functions propel urine. They mix food in the digestive tract. They help dilating, constricting pupils, which regulate blood flow. And some locations are autorhythmic. Okay, like I was mentioned, they're controlled involuntary by urine and autonomic nervous systems. Okay, and the last one, like I said, those are going to be found like in your bladder, or they're going to be found in your stomach, and they're going to have a process which helps store, kind of, allow those muscles to move. Okay, that's whenever you go to the bathroom and digest food, that's going to be a smooth muscle movement. Now, cardiac muscle would be one of like the heart. Okay, cardiac means heart, cardiovascular. So it's a major source of movement of blood. Okay, so it's autorhythmic. Okay, and it's controlled involuntary by endocrine and the autonomic nervous system. So that's a little bit about that one there. Okay, looks like we got somebody in here. Vicente, very good. Thanks for checking in. Do you have any questions, Vicente? I do need some of your work. I haven't gotten any of your work recently. I know you've been checking in my classes. I think I only got like one assignment for you, so make sure you're getting all your work turned in this week. This week's the last week for work to be done, so make sure you're keeping up with the assignments, Vicente. I need to get some of your work turned in, so you can email them to me or send it to me on Microsoft Teams. Okay. All right. Looks like Christian mentioned I ride my bike every day to help my leg muscles. Absolutely. You need to get out there and ride your bike, run, exercise, especially at your age. You should be getting outside once a day for at least a half hour and doing something. Okay, especially while we're in this quarantine phase, you still get outside and exercise. I have to do the same thing, whether I'm jogging or just going out shooting basketball in my little park here. I've been going to a hiking trail. I walked 4 miles yesterday, so got to do something outside to kind of keep your body in movement and working those muscles there too. Okay, so good job. Make sure you are trying to stay active, especially during this time, so you're not just sitting in the house and you're not using those muscles. So you should be doing something active to get your heart rate up and that exercise in. Okay, so like I mentioned, the cardiac is meaning the heart, and that is the cardiac muscle. So it's your heart, which is the strongest muscle in your body. Okay, or heartbeat. Okay, so those are the three types. Okay, so cardiac muscle cells, skeletal muscle cells, smooth muscle cells. For example, smooth muscle could be in your stomach or your bladder area. Skeletal muscles, for example, your arm. Okay, your bicep muscle, and it's around the bone. Okay, with the tendons holding it in place, and your cardiac muscle cells is around your heart. So those are the three main types of muscle cells that we're studying right now. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about some basic features of the skeletal muscles. So the muscle attachments, okay, for the skeletal muscles run from one bone to another. For example, one bone will move, the other remains fixed. Okay, when you flex an arm, okay, your lower part of the arm is moving, the other part is staying fixed, staying in place. Okay, so what they call the origin is the less movable attachment. So, for example, and that would be your bicep; it's not moving. The insertion is more than the more movable attachment. So that's your lower arm. Okay, where that tendon's moving. Okay, so the origin and insertion are two names for the muscle attachments and for the movement of that. Okay. All right. So, any questions so far? All right. Continuing on here. All right, on the muscular system. So, the muscle attachments now. Muscles attached to origins and insertions by connective tissue, and fleshy attachments are connective tissues or short. Indirect attachments are connective tissue forms tendons. For example, like that would be more indirect attachments are going to be like from your tendons. So bone markings are present where the tendons meet the bone. Okay, and that's why I was talking about the fixed and the less movable part. That would be your upper arm, and your lower arm would be more the insertion, and this is going to be the fixed area. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, good. All right. All right, so the skeletal muscle structure in itself is composed of muscle cells, and they have these fibers in these cells, which are connective tissue, blood vessels, and nerves, all within the muscle cells. So there's connective tissue, blood vessels, and nerves all running through your muscle cells. Okay, they're skeletal muscle cells. So these fibers are long, they're cylindrical, okay, and they tend to be smaller in diameter in small muscles and larger in larger muscles. For example, so like 1 millimeter all the way to 4 centimeters in length. So they could be a variety of different lengths depending on how small that muscle or how large that muscle is. They develop from what they call microblasts, which are numbers that remain constant in the muscle cell itself. And they look striated in appearances. What striated means looks like they have lines through it, like the muscles when you see them kind of line through. And the nuclei are peripherally located, so there's also like a nucleus within that cell, like called a nuclei. Okay, so those are some examples of the skeletal muscle cells itself. Okay, and any questions so far? All right, we got Kyle in here and we got Diego in here. Thanks for checking in, Kyle and Diego. Any questions that you may have? I'm just kind of going over the three types of muscle cells. I'm on skeletal right now. If you just jumped in, I'm going to go into the next one here in just a moment. So skeletal muscles are the muscles found in or around our bone tissue and our skeletal muscles. So they're probably the most common ones, like your arms, your leg muscles. Those are going to be around your skeleton. Okay, there's an area called what they call myosin or myofilament. Okay, and these are like elongated molecules. Okay, and they're kind of shaped. They're kind of like long little golf clubs is what they describe it as. So these are single filaments that contain roughly about 300 myosin molecules. And what these consist of molecules consist of two heavy myosin molecules wound together to form broad portions that lie parallel to the myosin filament, and that's where they kind of extend laterally across that muscle. So this is what they do: is they store ATP. So they have the ability. Remember, we learned adenosine triphosphate. That's the releasing of energy. Our muscles have to continuously build that energy, and that's where they need to be stored. Okay, within that myosin or myofilament of that molecule. So in that muscle. So that's where why our muscles need to breathe. They need to respire. They need to release that energy especially when you are working out. Okay, or doing exercise. Okay, all right. So ATP, it helps for the release of that. That was energy, what we learned about when we first studied cells. Okay. Then they have these proteins as well too, and what they call actin, or these are the thin myofilaments. So the thin filaments composed of a couple major proteins. One's called actin, other one's called troponin, and the other one's tropomyosin. These are advanced names and terms. I'm not going to get too much in detail with them, but those are just some of the names of the proteins in that muscle or the filaments where you're going to get that energy. Okay, all right, called actin. It's just a basic name for that. Now, moving on to smooth muscles. Now, these are the type of muscles I was telling you that are usually found in some of your organs, like your esophagus, like your stomach, like your bladder. Okay, they're not striated, meaning having lines through them. Okay, their fibers are smaller than those in skeletal muscles. They're spindle shaped, and they have single central nucleus. So more actin than the myosin as well too. So um, for this one here, they're not arranged symmetrically, as in the skeletal muscles. It's meaning that there's no striations with them. Okay, all right. So these, like I was telling, are going to be found in some of your organs that will have this when they're pushing food through and stuff like that. So they're grouped together in sheets or grouped into sheets and walls of hollow organs. So longitudinal layer, these are muscle fibers that run parallel to the origins long axis, and the circular layer is the muscle fibers run along around the circumference of the organs. Okay, and both layers participate in what they call peristalsis. Remember, that was how they pushed food, and that's the muscles pushing it, and they have like that the longitudinal and circular layers that help push that through the food through. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, I'm almost done explaining some of these. And my last one I'm going to talk about is what they call cardiac muscle. All right, then I'll talk about the project after and then answer any questions that you may have. All right, the cardiac muscle is found around the heart. So think of the cardiac. We studied circulation and cardiovascular. Cardiac means the heart. So it's found in the heart where it forms thick layers called myocardium. So they're striated fibers that branch, and each cell usually has one centrally located nucleus. Okay, so the fibers are joined with these intercalated discs. Okay, and this helps for your heartbeat. Okay, so this is an involuntary cycle, and it's autorhythmic from the cells. So this is the cardiac muscle cells. Okay, all right, so that's the last one there. Okay, I'm going to turn it over and explain the project here. So I just wanted to cover some things on the muscular system. This is the last body system that we are learning about. We've done everything starting out with digestive to respiratory, circulatory, what was the other one? Circulatory, nervous, skeletal, and now muscular. So this is the sixth body system that we've are learning about. Okay. All right. So project is due Friday. This is the last, and all work is due Friday as well too. So make sure if you're missing any assignments, email me this week or send me a message on Microsoft Teams. I'll try to get back to students that have not been turning work into. So make sure you are getting all your work in by Friday, everything. Okay, there is no brain pop this week too. So cut your break with the brain pop. No brain pop, just this project is the last one. If you want to turn it in as soon as possible, it's fine. By Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, anytime. So you are creating a Venn diagram. If you don't know what a Venn diagram is, it's a comparing and contrasting. They're like circles, okay? So you do like 3 circles, like giant circles, okay? So the inner circles are the ones how they're the same. The outer circles are how things are different. So you're going to do cardiac, smooth muscles, and skeletal muscles. Okay, so you're looking up those 3 types. Tell me in the middle how they're the same and how they're different on the ends. Okay, from your Venn diagram. You probably learned Venn diagrams in your reading classes or in your language arts classes, maybe Miss Wiedemann's class and so on. Comparing and contrasting whether they're characters from stories, so or other things in general. So, but this is what you're comparing: cardiac, smooth muscles, and skeletal muscles. Those 3 types of muscles, how they're the same in the middle, how are they different on the ends, okay? And how are they different from one another? All right, do we have any questions so far? Okay, before I get into some question and answer and see how well you were paying attention. So it looks like I got a handful of people in here right now. But like I said, you can answer any questions on, or you can get this work turned in as soon as you can. Like I said, this is their last assignment of our topics. We're still going to meet every time at this time for the next few weeks, but this is the last of your homework time of things that need to be turned in and get stuff caught up. So get your information. So you hand it in to me too late, and when the grades are due, I'll just say it's too late. You need to get your work in by Friday. Okay, so make sure you need to, because our grade book's going to be closing pretty soon. So we need to get all your work caught up. I know it's been a off semester or off quarter for us with everything going on from this whole new online learning. So yes, us teachers are still being pretty lenient with everything, but you still need to get the work turned in. If you don't get it turned in, it just comes out as a zero. So how do we get how are you going to get a score for if you don't have it something turned in? So make sure you get keeping up with all your work. Okay. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns so far? All right. Good. All right. I'm going to ask you guys some questions here right now. So see how well you're paying attention on the muscular system. Like I said, you could be jotting some notes down. You can go find some things online, use your resources. The book, if you have the book at home, there wasn't a whole lot of information on the muscular system. There was a small section on it. So this kind of just fits the bill with where we were at with all our body systems, kind of we're all grouped together. Skeletal, nervous, and muscular are all kind of grouped together under the controls of our movements and coordination of our body. So just kind of knowing that. Okay. Okay. Who could tell me? For those that are in here still, looks like we have Diego and Kyle and Vicente that checked in here. Okay. What is a function of a muscular system? What is one function of the muscular system? I'll write that in the toolbar. So I could ask you that there again. What is one function of the so what is one function of the muscular system? Okay, Diego mentions movement. That is correct. That's one. I went through a whole list of them. There was probably about, oh, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 7 of them. That's one. We could say that's one answer. So who could give me another one? What is another function of the muscular system? Diego mentioned movement, which is correct. Okay, what's another function of the muscular system? Movement is right for one of them. Okay, what you say, Vicente? You have an answer there? What's another function of the muscular system? Diego mentioned movement. There's like 7 other ones there. Okay, mobility. That's very good. That's the same thing as movement. Good job. Mobility, movement. Okay, posture, very good. Nice one there, Vicente. Posture is another one, very good. It helps maintain posture. Locomotion is body movement, same thing, very good. So we got 2 of the 7. What are some other ones? Mention these as well too. What about one that helps us breathe? I'm giving you an example. Diaphragm might be an example of one. That's that muscle underneath our rib cage when we breathe in and out. Remember, when we exhale and inhale, we talked about in one of the body systems there. What was that one called? All right, looks like Christian says contracting organs. Very good. Okay. Constriction or contraction of organs and vessels. That's another one. That's 3. Very good. So we got locomotion, we got posture, we got constriction of organs and vessels. Very good. All right. What's another? There's a couple other ones here. We got 3. There's about 4 more I mentioned. Yes, very good. Respiration. Respiration would be another one here. Okay. All right. Respiration and breathing. So diaphragm would be considered for that one there too. Okay. All right. And digestion, that would be with one contracting those organs. Very good. All right. Some of the other ones, if you didn't pick up these other ones, communication. When we talk, well, it's verbal. Okay. We got muscles in our face. Okay. All around here, we have muscles for speaking. We have muscles for making faces. If you smile or you frown, okay, we have these muscles that also help for doing that as well. Heartbeat is another one. Remember I talked about the cardiac muscle cells. All right, so heartbeat would be another for the muscular system, and the production of body heat to keep us warm. Okay, so those 3 were some other ones: communication, heartbeat, and production of body heat. So good job on answering some of those ones there. All right, moving on. Okay, what were some properties of muscles? I went over 4 of these kind of vocabulary words here too. I'll restate these here again. Okay, what they were, and if you could try to match up the definition for them. All right, they were called excitability, contractibility, extensibility, and elasticity. Okay, I'll write them so you can see them. All right, excitability, okay, elasticity, okay, extensibility, and contractibility. All right, so these 4 right here: excitability, elasticity, extensibility, and contractibility. All right, so this is where the ability of the muscle to shorten and generate a pulling force. Of those 4 that I just put out there, which one would that be? The ability for a muscle to shorten. Remember, like if you make a bicep, you're shortening that muscle there. What do we call that? The ability of a muscle to shorten or to generate a pulling force. Anyone have an answer for that one there? Okay. Well, Vincente will be back. Okay, I'll say that again. The ability of a muscle to shorten and generate a pulling force. Of those 4, contractibility, excitability, extensibility, or elasticity, which one would that be? So ability of a muscle to shorten and generate a pulling force. Okay. Looks like somebody says, oh, that's Diego. All right. Okay. If there's anybody in here who could help answer that, Diego and Cynthia, I think we're stepping away. I think I still have Christian in here, I want to say. Maybe Kyle. Maybe Gus. I'm not too sure. Okay. But if someone wants to take a guess at that one, the ability of a muscle to shorten and generate a pulling force. Of those four that I put up there on the chat, excitability, elasticity, extensibility, or contractibility, just write the word, which one you think it might be for extending the muscle, the ability of the muscle to shorten or generate a pulling force, okay? Or like a bicep. Okay, Vicente, you want to try that answer? The ability of a muscle to shorten and generate a pulling force. Okay, Christian, you have the answer? Or Vicente, looks like both of you are responding, but don't see an answer yet. Okay, looks like, okay, flexibility was not one of them, but it was contractibility for that one. It was contractibility. Contractibility is the ability of the muscle to shorten and generate a pulling force. How about this one? This is where a muscle can be stretched back to its original length. Think about you stretching your arm or your leg back out and in. What would that one be? All right, we already used contractibility, the one with the letter C. They all start with the letter E. So you got excitability, extensibility, and elasticity. What do you think that one would be? Where a muscle can be stretched back to its original length. So does anyone have any answer for that one there? A muscle could be stretched back to its original length. For those in here, there's only a couple people in here. 4 people, it looks like. I'm assuming Vicente, probably Diego. Okay. All right. You said excitability. That was a close one. That is extensibility. Extensibility, think about it stretching back to its original length. So it's extensibility. for that one. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on to the last part, and these are going to be the 3 types of muscles that you need to know. All right. So, which type of muscle pertains to the heart, which is a major source of movement of blood? It's autorhythmic and it's controlled involuntary by the autonomic nervous system. Okay. What type of muscle is that? Okay. You only have 3 here. They are smooth, cardiac, and skeletal muscles. Okay. So, which of the 3 would be one that is pertaining to the heart, major source of movement of blood, it's autorhythmic, and it's controlled involuntarily by the autonomic nervous system. Very good, Diego. Cardiac, that is the cardiac muscle cells. Okay, so don't forget that's not just cardiac, but cardiac, okay, muscle cells. Okay, all right. How about this next one here? This one is attached to bones. It makes up 40% of your body weight. It's responsible for locomotion, which is movement, facial expressions, posture, respiratory movements, and other body movements. It's voluntary in action and it's caused by the motor neurons. Which type of muscle is that called? Okay, very good, Diego. He mentioned skeletal. That is skeletal. So anytime you think of it as attached to bones, that's the easy clue. Same with cardiac. Think of heart. So you hear the word heart, cardiac, attached to bone, skeletal. Those are some keywords on knowing that as vocabulary. Very good. Okay. Um, the last one here, this type of muscle cell is in the walls of hollow organs, blood vessels, eyes, glands, uterus, and skin. It helps for functions of mixing food in the digestive tract, dilating and constricting pupils, regulates blood flow, and even propels urine. So, what would that one be called? Very good, Diego. That is the smooth muscle cells. Excellent. Good job on answering that. So, all right. That is based on your project there, knowing those 3, or your assignment, I should say. Smooth, cardiac, and skeletal. You are doing a Venn diagram on all 3 of those. Okay? So you're going to put their names in the middle. You're going to tell me how they're the same in the middle, and on the outer ends of the diagram, of the Venn diagram, you're going to tell me how they are different, how they contrast one another. All right? Similarities in the middle, compare. Similarities in the middle, contrast on the outer ends of the Venn diagram. Like I said, you might have learned doing these in like English or reading classes, some of the Venn diagrams. So make sure you are studying that and looking that over there too. Okay. Any other questions for this session here? I covered, this is a short session on the muscular system, okay, and your assignments. There's no brain pop this week. All assignments are due by Friday. You have this assignment to do by Friday, plus any other things that you're missing or need caught up with. Please turn them in to me. I'll try to communicate some things that you might be missing through this upcoming week. But be on top of your assignments. Go on to Power Schools, log on, see what your grade is or see what you're missing. If it doesn't have anything in there, it shows up as a blank. It means I never got it. So it's eventually going to be a 0. Okay. So make sure you're keeping up with the work for the class that way too. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns about the muscular system and or previous projects if you did not turn them in and so on? Okay, Diego, you wrote here, I told you what my plan for the projects are. I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean by your plan? I told you that they just need to be in by Friday. I know you missed some of that stuff that was before because you weren't on Microsoft Teams. I understand that. You still need to get those made up. So that means, yes, they'll be due by Friday too. If you're missing some of those ones, I emailed those ones that you were missing. Okay? Okay. Got that? All right. A thumbs up on that. Good job, Diego. Okay, any other questions or concerns about your assignment or what you guys are supposed to be doing? Okay. All right, so just to recap, three types of muscles: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. You're doing a compare and contrasting of those types of muscles, how they're the same and how they're the differences between them. Doing it through a Venn diagram format and sending it to us, that's meaning me and Mr. Cantaloupe. Okay, if any of his students are on here. Okay, so the types of properties of muscles are excitability, contractibility, extensibility, and elasticity, which I went over those. Okay, and the functions of the skeletal system is for movement and locomotion, posture, respiration for breathing, communication, like talking verbally, and constriction of organs and vessels, heartbeat, and the production of body heat, okay, for the muscular system. All right, any other questions or concerns, comments on this? Looks like I got three people in here. Okay, any questions, Diego? Any more you might have? Or Vicente? Vicente, make sure you get your work into me. I only got like one or two things from you, so I know you've been checking in every so often, so make sure you're getting that work turned in too, just to remind you. All right, everything's due by Friday. Okay, Vicente? Give a thumbs up on that, Vicente, if you're still in here listening. Okay, well, I'm going to end the session if there's no more questions here. All right, so make sure that you get that stuff into me as soon as you can. All right, guys. If there's no more questions, I am going to sign off. Okay, so I'll be back on Wednesday, same times, 8:30 and 1. If any more questions, I'll kind of cover some things on the muscular system, recap a few more things, talk about any last minute work that needs to be done, and maybe talk about a few types of muscular diseases and illnesses, which you don't have to research. It's just going to be just general information on that. You're only doing a Venn diagram on this, comparing and contrasting the three types of muscle cells. Again, those are skeletal, those are cardiac, and smooth muscles cells. Okay, and comparing and contrasting them through a Venn diagram model. All right, guys. Well, have a great rest of your afternoon, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right, goodbye.